Welcome to the Big Four Accounting Firms podcast brought to you by big4accountingfirms.com. In today's podcast, I wanted to discuss a news story that's not necessarily about the Big Four accounting firms, but just working in professional services in general. And it's about this Better.com CEO who apparently fired 900 employees on a Zoom call. And he told them that they were stealing from their customers by not being productive. And it went viral on various social media platforms, it's the CEO, Vishal Garg, who is CEO of Better.com. He's 43 years old. I was a little bit surprised by that because it's just hilarious that he would just rage on employees like this and that he would do it himself. And they fired 900 employees. And the main reason they fired them, he says they're productive on average of 2 hours a day while clocking 8 hours a day in the payroll system. And so I think it's just a little bit immature and ridiculous that he did this. And the main reason I wanted to cover it because it reminds me of the Big Four accounting firms the Big Four accounting firms, you actually have to book all of your time. And that's the main mechanism, not necessarily how you get paid, but how you're measured for utilization. But if the Big Four accounting firms actually monitored employee productivity like this psychopath did, then I think a lot of people could get fired as well. But I think the media always pick up on stuff like this because they always love seeing people get fired. And I know that sounds bad, but it's controversial that people aren't productive and they get fired for that. And I think it's impossible for people to be productive for every single week and every single day out of the year for a majority of the day to be productive. And I think this guy was just being dramatic. And I don't think if the employees weren't being productive, they weren't stealing from the customers. I think they were more stealing from the investors, people that put money into this company to hire employees so that they could make more money. That's more of what I see happen here. And if you're firing 900 employees, it's not because of them. It's because of your inability to filter out who's going to work and who's not when you're doing the hiring process. And also, if you're doing it, like, why all at once? If you would do something like this all at once, it's because the company's not doing so well. And that's what many people are saying, is because the pandemic buying spree of houses is slowing down. And so that's most likely why he did this. And I would believe that as well, because you don't hire 900 employees just because they all stopped being productive at once. You hire them because you fire them because you need to cut costs, and you just blame them. I mean, anybody could do this at any time. And based on what I've read about this guy, it seems like he has a few problems, a few emotional problems, and he also is very immature in the way that he deals with employees that are close to him and then employees that are not close to him. But it just reminds me of the Big Four accounting firms, and this type of activity isn't good. And I think this guy is about to find that out, because I think people can't feel comfortable in an environment like this where you're being monitored 24/7 as being being productive, because you're more of a robot in that situation. And the Big Four accounting firms is bad because of utilization, but at least they don't monitor every single thing that you do and then fire you for that. So that's like one thing I wanted to cover, because it did remind me of the Big Four accounting firms, but at least the Big Four accounting firms isn't this bad. This episode is brought to you by Voomer. Voomer helps you ace the interview at the Big Four accounting firms, and it does this by helping you practice on questions typically asked on the Big Four interview. And if you use the link or promo code which goes to tryvoomer.com/big4, or the promo code BIG4, then listeners get 10% off their purchase. So go ahead and check out their website, tryvoomer.com, and see if you like all the tools they have that can help you prep for your Big Four interview, and you do choose to purchase it. Make sure to use the link in the show notes, because with that link, you're going to get 10% off, or make sure to use our promo code. All the details are in the show notes. And the next news story, or the next thing I want to talk about, was KPMG UK, because apparently the FRC confirmed that KPMG is still being investigated over two companies that failed in the UK. We know Carillion, and there's another one that KPMG UK is still being investigated for. And I think this is a big issue because I was thinking today about KPMG UK and its implications on the KPMG firm worldwide, and if it could bring the whole KPMG firm down. And I don't think it would. I was thinking more like Arthur Andersen and what happened there. KPMG, the main way that would happen would be if huge damage to the brand. And I think KPMG has been chipping away at their brand over the years. With tax issues in the US, with the AICPA, or not AICPA, the PCAOB tip-off issue in the US where they tipped off their partners internally that they were going to be reviewed by PCAOB, and then a lot of partners had to resign over that. The KPMG US CEO, she didn't want to come back for another 5 years and didn't really give a good reason why. And then we have all this stuff in KPMG UK that's going on of the head partner in KPMG UK resigning over several issues. And then all the latest stuff about the partners having to put more money in, and then the KPMG UK government not going to issue work to KPMG potentially if they don't get their act together. So I think all these things could potentially lead to KPMG's downfall. And it's not one of these things. I think it's the accumulation of all of them. And all you need is one tipping point, one big issue for KPMG, for their clients not to want to do business with them anymore. And I think that's where KPMG has to be very careful, and they have to work on improving their brand. And I think I think they need a whole new leadership team. You have to get rid of all the old people. You can't get rid of one person and then the next person come up, because the people below that one person at the top are going to be part of the problem as well, since they were brought up under that one problematic person. You're going to need a clean sweep of top management. I don't know how that gets done. The alternative, I think, is to reward ethical behavior, but I don't think there's not a really good model for that I've seen. And I think KPMG has to be very, very scared going forward. And I think they have to do a lot of re-education for the partners on how they approach their work, because it's not only going to be a issue unique to KPMG, it's an issue related to the big four accounting firms in general. But KPMG is the most susceptible to brand risk right now, and that brand risk affects how they can win work in the future and whether clients want to do work with them. Because let's say it this way, if you're being audited by KPMG and investors don't trust the KPMG brand and whether that audit report from KPMG is good, then nobody's going to want to do business with KPMG. And I think KPMG is teetering on that edge right now. And I think there's a lot of work that needs to get done. I think they also need to push back. That's something else they could do. They could push back on UK regulators, do better press releases, do public reports that just improve their brand in general. But KPMG has a long ways to go. But those are the items I wanted to discuss today. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast to get future updates, and also check out the show notes for helpful links. Thanks for listening.